Picture this. You make the leap into the exciting world of running your own recruiting business, but there's a twist. What if your first 90 days could completely defy your expectations financially? Well, my favorite Warren Buffett quote is, it doesn't matter how hard you row, it matters which boat you get in. So in this video, I'm not just gonna get into numbers, but I'm gonna go deeper into the income potential just by getting to a new boat that's your own recruiting business. So if you're ready to learn the hidden truth about earning big as a recruiting entrepreneur, then let's dive in. And if you're new to the channel, I'm John Chintanrode, founder and CEO of Recruiting Accelerator, where we've helped more than 300 people successfully start and grow their own profitable recruiting businesses, even if they had no prior recruiting experience or had to hold down a 9-to-5 job while they got started. Now, I have to admit that when I first heard about recruiting, I thought that recruiters make a commission off the people they place, like the candidates. So if I were on a job market, if I used a recruiter to help me find a job, that they would somehow get paid like a commission, and that commission would be taken out of my salary. So somehow if I worked with a recruiter, I would have a lower job offer than if I went and got the job myself, which made me never want to work with a recruiter. Like, why would I? However, it wasn't until years later that I learned that, oh no, it doesn't work that way. Recruiters actually get paid from the companies that hire people, right? These companies are their clients, and these clients have a budget that they've already set aside to pay for recruiting agencies or what they call third-party recruiters, right? And that commission or that payment doesn't come out of their candidate's salary whatsoever. And that actually it's in the candidate's best interest to use recruiters, because these recruiters have a relationship with these hiring managers, these companies, and they can leverage that relationship and really sell you to the company versus you just applying directly into a black hole on the company's website, hoping that the hiring manager comes along your resume and finds it and reaches out to you. What really shocked me though was when I realized how much recruiters actually earn. Like, I had no idea that recruiters or recruiting agency owners made $20,000 or more every time they got someone hired, right? That math just seemed crazy to me. It didn't make sense. But here's what I learned, right? I found that the average salary for most professionals is about $100,000, and the industry average commission that recruiters make is 20%, so $20,000. But I just couldn't really wrap my head around why a hiring manager would pay a recruiting agency or an independent recruiter that much money for one hire when they can just find that person on their own, like posting a job on a job ad or something like that. But here's what I eventually learned, that one, hiring managers don't necessarily have all the time and resources to go find that perfect candidate, right? For small to medium-sized companies especially, it's typically an HR manager who is busy with HR work, but then they're also posting job ads online, maybe LinkedIn or Indeed, and getting tons and tons of applicants that they have to filter through and try to schedule for an interview. So they don't really have the bandwidth to really go and actively recruit the best candidates out there. And the best candidates aren't even applying to job ads. They're busy heads down doing work, usually for a competitor. Now, even if they had the time to go out and find the right people, on top of that, the cost of a bad hire is much more than $20,000. And that's how they rationalize spending this much for recruiting fees. Because if they hire someone on their own, maybe someone who applied to a job ad that maybe wasn't quite the rock star they're hoping for, and they end up having to replace that person, it's extremely expensive. They have to go through the process of letting that person go, the HR paperwork, rehiring, and all that lost opportunity cost is very expensive, especially for a role that's a critical hire. And when you compare that to a professional recruiter that can get that job done right the first time, that $20,000 becomes a drop in the bucket, especially when that recruiter finds them a rock star candidate. To help you see just how lucrative being a recruiter can be, take a look at this. The estimated average salary for a recruiter is anywhere between $64,000 to $102,000 per year. But there's more to it than just that picture, because those recruiters are actually being held captive. They're working for a recruiting agency, or maybe they're working for a company. Either way, it means that when they get someone hired, they're not making 20% or $20,000. For recruiters who work for someone else, they earn just a sliver of that. And they're having to work so much harder just to make the average $64,000 to $102,000 per year, in addition to dealing with all the managers, office politics, endless meetings, all that stuff that none of us like. Just to break down the math here for you, if an agency recruiter places 4 candidates a month or 48 candidates a year, they'll probably earn the top range of about $102,000 per year, maybe a little more. But if you took that same recruiter who made just half the placements, let's say 24 placements per year, but they did it all for themselves in their own recruiting business, they would make $20,000 times 24 or $480,000 in a year. That's almost 5 times more money. Now think about that for a second. If you're a recruiter and you start your own recruiting business, you could earn 5 times more money by doing half the number of placements. Now, does that mean that you became 5 times better right away just by branching out on your own? No, of course not. What you did do, however, is you got into a better opportunity vehicle. You got into a better boat. Now, before we get into how much money you can make in your first 90 days as a recruiting entrepreneur, I want to hear from you. What are some of your biggest concerns you have about the recruiting industry or starting your own recruiting business? Leave a comment below and let me know. Now, to dive into how much you can make as a brand new recruiting business owner, it really depends on your current skill level, experience, and your knowledge of automation tools like LinkedIn automation. Obviously, if you have all those things dialed in already, it's going to take you a lot less time to get up and running than someone who's starting completely from scratch. But if you're brand new, just take that into account and know that you'll spend a little bit of time and energy in the beginning to lay the groundwork for your future success. Another factor that will determine how much money you're going to make as a brand new recruiting entrepreneur is a niche that you choose. Because you'll make more money if you pick a niche where candidates typically earn a higher salary, like tech, healthcare, or legal, compared to, let's say, office admins, temp workers, or industrial positions. Now, if you haven't decided on which niche you want to pick for your recruiting business yet, don't worry about it. I made a video that breaks down exactly how to go about picking your niche that you can check out later on. Now, when you can become known as a recruiter who finds the best, let's say, accountants or best software engineers or whatever niche you choose, then you don't have to go out on the hunt for new clients or new candidates every time you want to make money. You'll already have that network built up and clients will know you as a recruiter who can help them fill those specific roles. So when it comes to how much you can earn in your first 90 days, there's technically unlimited upside potential. I mean, we've had clients come into our program who've made their first placement and made $20,000 within 90 days, and we've had more experienced people come in and make almost $100,000 in billings within 90 days. On average though, the members of our Recruiting Accelerator program get their first client within 30 days and they make their first placement within about 85 to 90 days time if they follow the process that we teach. And if you're interested in hearing about some of those success stories, I'll drop a link in the description below to our case studies that you can check out later on. Now, when it comes to maximizing your earnings, I already touched briefly on niching down and how much easier it is to make money when you focus on just one or two specific roles instead of being a generalist. But once you've niched down, the second best way to maximize your earning is to keep growing your network, both with hiring managers and candidates. This way, when a new client asks you to help fill the role, you already have a pipeline of candidates ready to interview so you can quickly get paid, right? Being active and consistent in your approach will help you earn more than the average recruiter, especially if you always focus on sharpening your sword and honing your skills. It's all about skill development. You see, recruiting isn't necessarily a difficult job, but it does take the right approach if you want to make more than the average person. And if you want to earn within your first 90 days, it requires that you do the right things from the start, right? From the very beginning. And the good news is though, when you do the right things in the beginning, it'll create long-term habits that'll carry you further and further as you gain more experience as a recruiting entrepreneur. All right, guys, so this is how you turbocharge your earning potential with your brand new recruiting business. Now, obviously, I just scratched the surface for what it takes to be successful. I didn't have time in this video to cover things like client acquisition strategies, leveraging LinkedIn automation, or what to say when you're on a call with a prospective client. But I built an entire framework for how to launch your recruiting business in the next 7 days, including how to start even while you have a full-time job. I shared everything in this video right over there, so give that a click and I'll see you in that video.